Senior Report thanks Edmund Besch of Bristol Burgess Insurance Agency, 65 East Main Street, Westfield, for his generous grant to provide news to seniors. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Funding for Senior Report is provided in part by a grant from Andrew Goodell, Assemblyman for the 150th District of the New York State Assembly. Dave Cass and Rick Newell provide funding on behalf of the Lakeview Hotel and Restaurant at the Docks, located on Water Street near the lake in Mayville. Senior Report with Reed Powers thanks Westfield's Schultz Chevy for a generous grant to inform seniors of important news. Over 50 years of service to Westfield by Chevrolet, Schultz Chevy across from the school. The physicians of Jamestown Primary Care are happy to sponsor the Senior Report. From the Access Channel 5 television studio in Mayville, it's Senior Report with Reed Powers. Senior Report is broadcast live throughout northern Chautauqua County on Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. each week. Call in and share a thought, make a comment, ask a question, or simply wish someone a happy birthday on Chautauqua County's only live call-in senior program. Since 1995, Reed has been bringing viewers hundreds of interesting guests, informing the community on a variety of subjects. Here's the host of the show, Reed Powers.
And good morning. What a beautiful day we have here in Chautauqua County. I think spring is definitely here. The winter is finally over, and it's now June 1st, so we're all set. And here we go. We have a great show coming up. We have Dr. Robert Barnes, who is a very well-known osteopathy physician here in our area. He has an office in, I believe, in Dunkirk, and
yes,
and nearby too, another office.
Another in Cheektowaga.
Cheektowaga. And he's here to talk about gentle medicine, rather than, he's not one of the people who's hot on surgery and on drugs. He has a kinder, gentler way of handling these things so that your body isn't all ripped up. So we'll talk about that a little later. And the news is flying. You watch the TV, it's madness out there. One of the nice things about the good weather here is we have farm stands all over the place. So find out where your local farm stand is, and usually it's on Saturday morning, and go down and buy fresh vegetables, fresh food, good stuff, wonderful price, donuts in Westfield. A lot of the Amish farmers come down, and they have wonderful treats, pies, donuts, all kinds of stuff. And fresh vegetables, can't beat it. We have not only that, but coming up in Westfield, there will be a big event. And now it'll be the Civil War reenactment. And it's on June 8th and 9th. And it goes pretty much all day. And it's in the McClurg Mansion Park, you know where the park is in the middle of Westfield with the McClurg Mansion in it. And they have cannons and guns and full Civil War garb, the tents, the kettles, the food. Everything is genuine Civil War. And so come on over to Westfield and check that out. That should be a lot of fun. Bring the kids along. They'll get a kick out of it, especially when they have skirmishes and they shoot at each other and some of them fall over with bullets. Most of the deaths in the Civil War, a good percentage of them were caused by either VD or infection. Yeah, the bullets didn't kill that many. The infection that followed has got them. And yeah, that's life. All right, guys, we had a lot of people lost in the Civil War. That was an incredible, horrible thing. But you'll have a chance to watch it in action. I want to say a big shout out to one of our viewers, Doug Sanderson. Doug Sanderson is a new neighbor of mine and in Westfield, and he is one champ of a guy. He's very caring. He's considerate in terms of the neighbors and everybody, and he's selfless. He's just a terrific guy. He's embarking on a new career. He's gone to school and doing his internship, and he is just one great guy to have as a neighbor. And hello, Doug. I hope you enjoy the program. On the national scale, we've got, see, we're moving from the local to national this today rather than national down. The Obama IRS scandal is just going wild. Apparently, his accusers tell us, and there seems to be some sort of fire to this mess, that he was using the IRS, but not him. He says, oh, I didn't know anything about it. It was one rogue agent somewhere, baloney. It was widespread. And they were using the IRS to penalize people who were conservatives. He's, of course, a liberal president. And if they were conservatives, the IRS was giving them a hassle, not granting them the tax immediately, demanding all kinds of extra paperwork, and just generally, it was a mess. And they're still, we're doing it right up until recently when they were caught red-handed. So we'll have to see how that all breaks up. The Congress is investigating, and they're trying to find out. They've got at least 80 members of the IRS that were in on it, apparently. We're not sure exactly what the details are, but that's a mess. And of course, right on that one, right with it, he's got another scandal going. Apparently, he authorized, or well, we'll put it this way, his administration. It's always hard to track the exact details, but Obama's administration was actually prying and snooping on reporters. And Fox, of course, is very conservative, and one of their top reporters had his email opened illegally. They said, well, we did have some kind of a warrant, and they were checking all his email. This is an outrage when they're scaring reporters, trying to cause them agony and problems by illegally snooping into their email. And the next thing would be their mail in their homes. Who knows? So Obama, for his sterling Boy Scout image, is beginning to falter a little bit. Let's see what happens with the snooping into the reporters' emails goes. All right, guys, enough said. We have an awful lot to cover. We will not be having John Hamels, Doc, with us today. He sent us some pictures, though, and he's in Ireland still, or in Europe. I don't know where he's rambling around now. He was in Ireland. Ireland has pyramids there that precede the pyramids of Egypt by 1,000 years. Would you believe it? The Irish were well ahead of everybody. And they saved all their information from the past. During the Inquisition and following years, the Dark Ages, they were destroying libraries, burning all the records of past knowledge. But they didn't get to Ireland. And Ireland, in the monasteries, had saved all this information, the books, the manuscripts, and everything, and they came through, and we have them today. So let's say a big thank you to that beautiful green island, Ireland. And have fun over there, John. Enough said. We're going to have a very short sponsored ad for you.
Welcome to Cook It Safe Challenge, where teams compete to make the right decision about safe food preparation. Our challenge in this round, oven or microwave. To win, teams must use the proper steps for safe meal preparation, read and follow package cooking instructions, and know when to use the conventional oven or the microwave. You're on the clock, so make your decisions quickly, but be warned, make the wrong choice and your meal will be unsafe. Sorry, Team 2, an unwise choice. Check the cooking instructions on that package you ripped open so quickly.
Dude, what?
Microwaves and conventional ovens both have a purpose. Your challenge was to cook the dish safely. This means knowing which method of cooking to use, and you failed.
We failed to read and follow the packaged cooking instructions and use a conventional oven.
If you don't follow cooking instructions, some foods may be hot but may not have reached a safe internal temperature. Use a food thermometer to be sure.
We kept focus on reading and following the packaged cooking instructions.
And we used a conventional oven and a food thermometer.
Can you cook it safe?
There you go. Remember, guys, if it says don't microwave, chicken is particularly the enemy, because chicken has a lot of bad bacteria in it. And if they tell you not to microwave it, they're serious. Put it in the oven, and you got to bring it up to at least 160 degrees or higher for quite a while. Some say as much as 20 minutes, but at least you've got to cook that chicken thoroughly. Don't fool around. Okay. We have some pictures of John Hamels. Are they around anywhere? Oh, there he is. He's playing in Ireland. Believe it or not, you know, he's a fine musician. And he and his partner, Bill, do, they do concerts all over the place. And there he is. And I don't know who the folks are with him, probably the mayor of Dublin. Who knows? You know, the mayor of Dublin was Jewish for a long time. And they had a lady. It was incredible, the variety you find in good old Ireland. I've seen Ireland, as a matter of fact, from 35,000 feet above. I flew over on the way to Paris, and I looked down, and sure enough, it's green. How about that? We have with us Bob Barnes. Bob Barnes is a doctor of osteopathy, and he is very, very well known in the area with his 2 offices. He treats people in a slightly different manner than the conventional medicine, but not really that much difference. He just is more careful. Where did Bob, say hello to the folks out there?
Good evening. Good evening. Good morning.
Well, whatever time it is. It's evening somewhere.
That's true. In Ireland, maybe.
Maybe in Ireland. Bob is well known in there. Where did you go to school, Bob?
I went to Syracuse University initially after graduating from Silver Creek High, and then took my degree of osteopathic medicine from Kirksville, Missouri, the original College of Osteopathic Medicine. Then I went to Detroit, Michigan for an internship, ended up in Portland, Maine for a surgical residency, and then came back and practiced surgery in Silver Creek for 27 years before I started in on a more natural type of medicine.
So you, for a long while, you did do surgery. What's the difference between treatment with the surgery and osteopathic medicine in terms of the patient?
Well, osteopathic medicine is basically using medication the way all conventional doctors do. So there's not too much of a difference, except osteopaths also pay attention to the spine and the alignment of the spine. And if the alignment of the spine is good and in shape, the body will be healthier. So we've been using manipulation for the last 70 to 80 years.
It's kind of like chiropractic, isn't it?
Actually, the first chiropractor was an osteopath who, when the medicine, the FDA started promoting pharmaceutical medication, Dr. Palmer, who was a DO, said, our leader said that all medicine is harmful and toxic, so I'm going to start our own group, and we're going to call them chiropractors.
And they've been in ever since, right?
That was in the 20s, and chiropractors now are the natural, do more natural medicine than anybody in our country. And A.T. Still, who was the originator of osteopathy, was right. All medication is toxic, and all you need to do is turn into the news and find out what's happening in Ireland or wherever, and then listen to the advertisements that give you at the end the negatives of medication.
Yes, whenever I see a new medicine, medication or whatever that pops up on TV, they tell you this is wonderful for this, that, and the other. But, and then there's about 20 buts. You could have a heart attack from it, you could die from it.
You can die from it.
You could have all kinds of other problems that may show up, dizziness and loss of memory and loss of sexual ability,
Whoa.
which is in many of them, I've noticed now. That's enough to turn you off, isn't it?
Well, medication, pharmaceutical medication, works by blocking the body from functioning properly and normally to get rid of symptoms. So basically, what I did for 27 years was manage disease. People would come in with arthritis as a good example, because there's 100 different medications for arthritis. And when you gave them medicine, you never said, you know, you have arthritis of the knee, and you're going to take this for the next 2 months and you won't need it anymore because the arthritis will be gone. What we do is, you have arthritis, take the medication, usually within a day or two, it'll block the body from functioning normally so that your pain will be gone, but the disease process goes on. And we may have to change the medication because of side effects. We may have to add more medication to it to get rid of the side effects. And actually, you may die from the medication. We usually don't say that, though. But the truth is that about 40,000 people die from arthritic medication in our country every year. And that's arthritic medication given properly because it happens to be toxic, and there's millions of people taking these. Also, for the arthritis, you don't have to be concerned, because 20 years from now, if your joint, your knee is so bad, we can replace it with a metal knee. Well, personally, I don't want a metal knee, and I want arthritis is reversible with natural means. Dietary aspects along with herbs and other nutrients that will support the knee and will cut down the inflammation and reverse the arthritic changes.
So basically, the traditional medicine, you're pointing out, just covers up the pain and symptoms, but doesn't cover the disease, doesn't do anything for the disease, right?
Absolutely, and that even gets into bypass surgery. Bypass surgery does not correct the arteriosclerotic blockage that you have. It bypasses around a 1-inch area, and we call that the satisfactory treatment. However, plaque builds up again because we haven't changed any reason for the plaque not to build up. And the new arteries are usually veins, and they have a tendency to block up more. Some people will be lucky and go on for 20 years, but lots of people have heart attacks within the first year because we haven't changed the course of the disease itself. When you do chelation and you do other things, you start reducing the plaque, which then allows the heart to function better, and you reverse the disease process.
Well, you mentioned chelation. Now, what is chelation?
Chelation has been used the last 50, 60 years. It's traditionally an IV injection of a synthetic protein. What it is, it's a free negative ion going into the bloodstream. This has to couple up with a positive ion to become a whole molecule. So it finds a positive ion it's attracted to, it grabs a hold of it and chelates it away from wherever it is. It may be
where's it go?
It may be in the kidneys, it may be in the liver, thyroid, or whatever. Pulls it into the bloodstream, becomes a whole molecule, and then it's excreted out of the kidneys over the next 24 hours. So it takes out lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, aluminum, lots of different toxic heavy metals. If you have 100 cells in an area and you have a toxic cell such as mercury, lead, arsenic in that area, those 100 cells can't function normally. When you start taking them out, you allow the body to start functioning properly, and the body heals itself. There's no real healing coming from the outside of our body. That's why natural medicine is non-toxic to the body, because the natural things, vitamins and minerals, resonate with the body, where Celebrex is a chemical that doesn't resonate with the body. It doesn't join in the body's proper functioning.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned chelation as one process. I wanted you to talk a little bit about homeopathic medicine. We hear about that quite a bit. Now, what is it, first of all?
Homeopathic medicine is the body's reaction to a disease process is the immune system. If you give a little bit of a disease, your body's immune system will build up an immunity to that, and then you won't progress. The disease won't progress, or it will regress, or prevention of disease. So if somebody has nausea and vomiting. We give the Vomica homeopathic, which is less than 1 cell per dosage of the thing that's creating the vomiting in the first place, and the body builds an immunity to that, and then the vomiting will stop.
So you don't have to swat them with a huge dose. You just need a little tiny bit, huh?
Yeah, and if you take a bottle, if you have a bottle of drops of homeopathic medicine, and you took the whole bottle, that wouldn't be enough to do anything bad to your system. It would not harm the system.
Yes.
We know, like Vioxx was a medication for arthritis. They discovered, and they knew this for a couple of years, that about 40,000 people in our country were dying every year from heart disease due to the chemical Vioxx and the body's reaction to that. But it took them a few years to get it off the market. Then they brought it back onto the market a few years later with a slightly different formulation, because it did help get rid of the symptoms of arthritis, but it also created death through other means.
Okay, side effects. You die.
So, but you don't die with a sore knee.
Right. So the homeopathic system, I understood it's like taking a drop of this stuff and putting it in a gallon or two of water, and you still have it there. The molecular context and the context and the memory is still there, and if they take that, it will affect the body.
That's a very good memory that you have about that. That's an excellent way of explaining it.
Well, that's because I visited the founder of homeopathic medicine in Paris. Hahnemann was his name.
Yeah.
Hahnemann. And he's unfortunately, of course, long gone, but he has a beautiful statue and a spot in the Père Lachaise Cemetery, which is a famous big cemetery in the middle of Paris. And there are always flowers around it and messages of thanks and what have you, because people have adapted to the homeopathic system.
And are well, and thus want to come back and honor him.
They do, exactly. And as I say, it's just covered with flowers and messages.
See, all diseases are really reversible. Arthritis is reversible, colitis is reversible. What else can I think of? Cancer is reversible. Heart disease is reversible. But you can't do it with medication, because medication just blocks the symptoms of these problems and doesn't reverse the thing. Cancer therapies are very toxic to the body. Cancer therapies can kill off all cancer cells, but they also kill off a lot of the good cells, so it's tough to recover from that. Where naturally, cancer doesn't live in oxygenated tissue. If you build up oxygen through vitamin C intravenously through other means, the body can then, the immune system can then reverse the cancerous process.
Yeah, I spoke to one of our local well-known physicians, and he said that the chemicals they give to cure cancer are almost on the very edge of fraudulent. They don't really cure much cancer, and they sure as hell do a lot of damage.
Well, the statistic is that cancer therapies are 2 to 3% curative.
Pretty
Now,
low, huh?
If you had a car that ran 2 or 3% of the time, how many would you buy? you get the Amish carriage back out, and away we go.
Away you go.
But that isn't a very good record, where oxygenating the body through different means, you have a better chance of reversing these things.
Chemotherapy is widely used, though. A lot of doctors are recommending it.
Well, chemotherapy is, the medical profession has a monopoly on medicine. And chemotherapy gets paid for by the insurance company, and doctors utilize this. This is what they were taught. Where natural medicines, the pharmaceutical can't make big money from that, so we're not taught anything about that, and the insurance companies don't pay.
So basically, there's kind of a blockade going on by the moneyed interests.
Absolutely. Medicine as practiced the last 100 years is not for the health of the patient, it's for the medical economy.
The health of the doctor.
Well,
financially, anyway.
Financially, the
everybody.
physician, the nurse, the laboratory personnel, the hospitals, right on down the line. And but because we're blocking disease, or blocking the symptoms of disease, we're not reversing health or treating patients to a healthy state unless you do natural things. I give at this point oxidative treatments. I give hydrogen peroxide intravenously because hydrogen peroxide is H2O2 and has an extra oxygen radical. Oxygen in our body kills off pathogens, virus, bacteria, fungus, stimulates the immune system to function better and get rid of chronic degenerative diseases because you need a good immune system to get rid of these things.
I see ads for, oh, we have a phone call. I better take that. Would you like to talk to the phone caller?
Oh, I'd love to.
Okay, good morning, caller. Thank you for waiting.
Good morning. I would appreciate your comments on my thinking process because I don't understand something to do with medication. Apparently, when we take some kind of a med, it's going through the whole body, and I can't help but wonder how it knows where to go and how it's tailored so it works on the particular problem or covers the particular problem and all those related issues.
What do you think?
Well, all I know is that when you take a medication or when you take vitamins and minerals, they go into the GI tract. That's the gastrointestinal tract. They're in the mouth, into the stomach, and into the small intestine. There's acid and enzymes in these areas, especially in the stomach, that breaks down pills, food, whatever we're putting in that's going to be absorbed by the lower intestine later on after it's broken down. Now, as the vitamin C or the lisinopril, which is a medication for blood pressure, gets into the lower intestine, it can be absorbed through the villi of the small intestine into the bloodstream, and then it goes out into the body. How do I know where it goes? God does that. You know, I don't have a clue on how the mechanism is set up so perfectly, but it gets out into the tissue, and then the tissue reacts to it because he has it set up that way.
Well, I guess that isn't what I was really picturing. I was wondering how, once it gets into the body and into the bloodstream and the tissues, how do the scientists figure out what kind of medication is good for a particular problem? And in a way, you're sending that same medication throughout the whole body, and I think that must be why it can be destructive to the rest of your system.
That's very good thinking. Where vitamin C is necessary for every cell in our body to function normally, when that goes in, it does nothing but positive things. Where lisinopril or a medication going in isn't welcomed in every area of the body. See, health begins at the cellular level. In each cell out of the 60 trillion that we have is unique because it's separate from the cell next to it. It's almost like its own little unit. Because it needs to be fed, it needs to excrete toxins, it needs a blood supply in oxygen and nutrients coming in and getting rid of the toxins of the body. So it's a fantastic mechanism, and I guess I can't explain it any differently than that.
Well, I've had personal experience with different medications where the fillers are the problem, that whatever they're using to help the condition is a very small amount, and then they have to have something to, for example, a flu shot. I guess it's one size fits all, and a lot of people have problems with the flu shot, and now they're starting to think that it's the fillers that they're using for that.
Well, you're absolutely right. The fillers are a big problem. But when you fill things, I don't deal with that any longer. It's rare that I write a prescription. I was probably writing 70 to 80 a day when I was in conventional medicine. Now I write 2 prescriptions a month, and it's for a natural thyroid, basically. So prescriptions aren't part of my practice, and I utilize the nutrients that will allow the immune system to start functioning better and to heal itself. The body has only the body has the ability to heal itself. So if you have heart disease, arthritis, your body can heal it if it has the right ammunition, and the right ammunition is meditation, exercise, nutrition, fluids, and calming the mind and body down.
I'm a firm believer in that, and I guess that's why I'm asking the question that I have of you today, as that we've got to listen to our bodies and what they're telling us.
Well,
it's hard now because we don't always have access to the kind of foods and things like that we need to keep the healthier bodies.
Well, thank you, caller.
We certainly are getting that.
Yeah.
The foods are much more plentiful than they were in the past, and the information is starting to get out, where as a conventional physician I never talk to people about what they're eating and how to do things naturally, how much vitamin C to take and all that.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you for taking so much time.
No, it's wonderful questions. Bob, I wanted to ask you about a couple other things I see in the news. Somewhere I saw that there is a farm out west somewhere where people go who have diabetes, and where they diet of fresh vegetables and fresh foods, cutting out a lot of other things. They actually cure the diabetes. They stop the symptoms. They go off the insulin, and they come home perfectly normal. What about that?
Actually, diabetes is a very easy thing to reverse. All you need is cooperation of the patient as far as eating, drinking, and exercising. And usually within a month, I'll have people that are taking 60 and 80 units of insulin a day down to taking no insulin at all and having their blood sugar very stable in the range of 100 or below. But they have to do all the work. I can't do that. I give them nutrients to help the body function better, but they have to watch their dietary aspect, the simple carbohydrates and all types of things, and then take in good nutrients, the good foods.
In other words, it's a very stringent dietary program, right?
It is.
You can't just go out and eat whatever you used to eat, for sure.
Well, that's what health is. Very stringent program on doing things for yourself. Foods, any food in a package has been altered, and it's probably not going to work well in the body. It will feed it calories, and if we look around, we notice there are enough calories floating around in our society, but we need to eat the proper food so that we get proper nutrition, so the body starts functioning better, and disease process starts reversing. All disease can be reversed if we get the proper food. President Clinton had heart disease. I think he had bypass surgery. Maybe not.
Yes, I think he did.
And he's had stents put in. In the last year or two, you notice he looks thin. He's doing a very stringent diet at this time, and he's looking great and he's feeling great.
No more stopping at the
McDonald's.
I don't want him to dash McDonald's. There are thousands of different companies that produce greasy old food, but he used to love the big the hamburgers, I'll put it that way. And I guess he's probably cut them out for sure these days.
Definitely he has, and it's all to the betterment of his health, and you have to do that. You can't go in and get a pill. Hypertension is a great example. Hypertension, your blood pressure goes up higher. It's up higher for the reason that the cells aren't functioning properly. And when you get somebody with hypertensive doing some mild exercise and eating properly, the blood pressure starts coming down. One of the problems with hypertension is that most people...
Hypertension being high blood pressure.
High blood pressure, here. Thank you. Is that we don't have enough magnesium, especially people that are 60 years old and older. We don't absorb magnesium as well as we did when we were 40. So we're more liable to have irregular heartbeats and high blood pressure because of magnesium deficiency.
Milk of magnesia, does that help?
Milk of magnesia is a little different. Milk of magnesia doesn't absorb, that's why. But if you get magnesium chloride or magnesium in other forms, it'll absorb into the body faster, or it absorbs into the body. Where milk of magnesia, if you get enough magnesia, it will go out of the body, or magnesium.
So you got to know how to take it. You can't just grab it. So reversing diabetes does work.
Oh, there's a book that's wonderful. It's called Reversing Diabetes by Dr. Whitaker. W-H-I-T-A-K-E-R. And if he also promotes taking chromium, vanadium, some spices by mouth to normalize the blood sugar. And most people within 2 to 4 weeks will be off their medication for diabetes. But they get off the medication only when their blood sugar comes down. And a lot of people get into problems because their blood sugar comes down too fast as they really pay attention to their diet.
So you gotta go easy, under the care of a doctor, of course.
Under the care of a doctor.
The news is good, though, that they can do something positive just through diet for your diabetes, which seems to be the fastest growing disease in the United States at this point.
Well, it's due to the food, and we're trying to limit the food. You know, the Mayor Bloomberg is trying to limit the drinks, which are high in sugar, which create too much sugar in the system, and then the blood sugar goes up, and we call that diabetes. And that adds more weight onto the patient or the person. So we're trying to limit things, and we're trying to get more of the proper foods, protein and fat and vegetables rather than sugary products, cookies, donuts, all those things. That
sugars are not good. One of the 3 big poisons, white poisons: sugar, salt, and there was one other that's bad for you. It's white.
You know that the #1 reason for obesity in the United States is potato chips.
Is that what it is?
They've come up with that. Now, how they did that, I don't know. But you and I know if you eat 1 potato chip, you can't eat 1 potato chip.
Yeah, you eat a bag of them before you know it.
You eat a bag, and it's contributing to obesity.
It's a tremendous lot of calories. It's got a lot of oil in it, and potatoes themselves are a pure carbohydrate anyway.
Right.
And so people that snap down a bag of potato chips every day are going to gain weight like there's no tomorrow.
See, and oil is not bad, but you have to have proper oil. Olive oil and a couple others are good for you, where the canola oil and these things have more omega-6, which can be damaging to the body rather than the omega-3 fats of olive oil. So oil itself is not bad, but you got to get the right type.
I wanted to swing back a second here to chemotherapy. They say there is tremendous progress and positive results in childhood leukemia using chemotherapy. Now, is that true?
I'm not an expert in that.
You wouldn't
at
know
all.
for sure, huh?
But there are some things that chemotherapy can definitely help. Testicular cancer is one of the things, and I believe leukemia is another. But I'm not an expert on that. In talking about chemotherapy, there's a thing called insulin potentiating therapy. And cancer cells have markers on them because they love sugar. They take in sugar. So they have these little markers, maybe 15 or 20, where a normal cell will have 1 or 2 to absorb sugar. So what we do is that we give insulin, it drops the blood sugar, the cancer cells and the markers are now crying out for sugar, and then we give very low dose chemotherapy, maybe 10 or 15% in a sugar solution.
So snap it down.
So it goes right into the cancer cells and kills off the bad cells. So you don't get the side effects of losing hair, nausea, vomiting, all of the things that can happen with chemotherapy.
Okay.
But it's been in use 50 or 60 years, but we don't use it in conventional oncologists.
And why is that?
I don't know. Why is it? It's not because it doesn't work, because we know that it works.
And it's a milder, gentler way of dealing with it.
Milder and gentler. And that means less chemotherapy used. Maybe the drug companies are against that type thing. I don't know.
Sometimes we just don't pay much attention to our bodies, as that young lady told us. Our bodies will sing a song if they're happy, and they will pain us if they're not happy. And this is one of the things you are looking out for. I see a television ad every few minutes for a cancer care center. Now, what do you think? Do you have any opinion on that? They say that, you know, they give you all kinds of wonderful treatments and service and everything, and it looks like anybody with cancer would probably seek out these centers.
Mm-hmm. There's centers called Cancer Centers of America, and they're in Philadelphia, Chicago, and 3 or 4 other places. They treat patients with alternative as well as conventional treatments. They're popping up and becoming popular because they actually treat patients very nicely and give them a lot of positive nutrients and help support the body's good cells while they're giving chemotherapy and other things to the patient, which means that the body probably will respond better. But most of them are nice centers, and they do good work.
I hope the public understands that you are not condemning in any way all chemotherapy or all surgery or any of these things. In some cases, it is probably a good thing.
Absolutely necessary a lot of times.
Yeah, but the overuse of it is what is alarming a lot of physicians.
Well, bypass surgery is a good example of it. Bypass surgery is not correcting the problem, where chelation therapy, and they just finished a 5-year study on chelation therapy, our government did, and what they discovered is that chelation reverses heart disease in many, many patients. But their conclusion was, we're going to have to study this for another 5 or 10 years before we utilize it. Well, why? I've been doing it for 20 years. There's no toxicity to it, truly. Maybe one person a year has a problem, where 250,000 die every year in our country from medication given properly. So the toxicity is very low, and the success rate is up in the 80 and 90%. So we should be doing this and then utilizing bypass surgery when necessary.
Okay.
Rather than just the opposite.
I just got a call from one of our viewers, but I didn't catch it. I couldn't understand it. But they had a question for you.
Okay.
Now,
you know, you just talked about pain, and
yes,
pain is a symptom that something is wrong. You don't want to get rid of pain. You want to find out how you can help correct the problem so the pain will disappear. And that's why I'm saying arthritis is reversible. You can take valerian, turmeric, ashwagandha, boswellia, and other nutrients that will help cut the inflammation and supply nutrients to the cells, so the cells will correct, and the immune system will correct the problem and have the pain disappear because the body is functioning better, rather than blocking the body with Vioxx or other medications that we know have side effects that are dangerous to the body.
Painkillers, just simple, and they give so many painkillers. And basically they don't do anything for the disease.
Absolutely right. They actually make it worse, because if you have arthritis of your knee and you're now getting pain and you take a painkiller, you're out exercising and doing things with that knee that are going to make it worse because you aren't correcting the problem.
So you got to watch what you're taking.
So you get more arthritic changes until you have to have a knee replacement, and that's very common. Talk about knee replacements.
Sure. I see there's a lawyer chasing down the knee replacements and hip replacements. He says, if you're suffering, call me, I'll take care of it.
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that a bit. But there's stem cell therapy present. And Kobe Bryant is one of the famous people that went over to Europe to get stem cell therapy. And what they do is they draw blood, 60 cc's, they spin it down in a special centrifuge, and the platelets go into a certain area. They then draw the platelets into a syringe, and platelets are stem cells, and they inject them into the knee. So his cartilage damage in his knee is now bathed in stem cells, and it corrects itself and it starts healing the cartilage.
Stem cells being able to grow into whatever you want them to, essentially. They put a mouse's ear on, or a human ear on a mouse's back by using stem cells.
Absolutely, you're right. And they can put it on your ear.
You can put it on your nose or wherever. You know?
Yeah.
If you need new ear, all you need is a mouse. So.
But these things are non-toxic, and rather than have a cartilage that's torn removed, my grandson had a torn cartilage. And rather than have surgery and go in and destroy that part of that cartilage, and then maybe 30 years from now have arthritis and have to have a knee replacement, we put stem cells in, and within 3 or 4 days he's out running again without pain because the knee has healed. The cartilage is healed.
Those cells formed whatever was needed to heal the knee.
Yes.
Correct. Now,
why don't we use this extensively? Because insurance doesn't pay for that. They will pay for the surgery, which may be $10,000, but they won't pay the $500 for the knee stem cells.
Well, actually, the federal government in the United States outlawed the use of stem cells from neonates, meaning unborn children that passed away, whatever. There's a lot of stem cells in the, I believe in the umbilical, among others.
Placenta blood.
And
right.
They're not allowed to use it. They stopped it, and it was very effective. I mean, as you pointed out, you stick some of these stem cells into a diseased area, and they'll quickly decide what to do, and they form whatever you need.
And the problem with them, of course, was that it wasn't the person's stem cells. Now they've developed so far that they can take fat from your body and make stem cells out of them. So we get 100 stem cells, and 2 days later we have 5 million stem cells.
But this is not covered by your insurance, of course.
No.
It's too easy.
It's too easy.
Too cheap. I think really there is something wrong with our system in view of the fact that, first of all, we're being held up by the pharmaceutical companies in general, according to everybody. You can buy them half price in Canada and overseas, but you've got to pay double that here in the United States, which is basically having to pay homage to the pharmaceuticals, many of which are developed by federal government funds, believe it or not. I'm sure you're aware of that. I wanted, before we get away here, maybe somebody might want to call you and ask you about something that you talked about. Is there any way they can get in touch with your phone number? Yes.
I am in Dunkirk, Fredonia area on Mondays and Thursdays, and the phone number is 679-3510.
679-3510. And that's Fredonia, Dunkirk area. If somebody visits you, do you have to do an evaluation first, or what do you do?
Basically, when a patient comes in, I do a history and physical. So it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours. We sit down, I go through their whole history. I try to get a history on what they're eating, what their problem is, how much exercise, and we go through a healthy type of history, and then do a physical examination, and then make suggestions, books to read, foods to eat, nutrients to take. And then if they have heart disease, I have patients that walk into my office and they have chest pain walking in from their heart. I suggest chelation therapy and other IVs, which is interesting because sometimes with those, or most of the time with those patients, after 3 to 5 treatments, they walk into my office with a smile on their face because they no longer have chest pain when they walk.
Do you do the chelation at the office, or do they go somewhere?
No, we have a IV room. We have about 12 chairs, comfortable chairs, and I have 1 to 2 nurses on duty at all times that mix up the IVs, usually 10 or 15 different nutrients in an IV with the EDTA chelation therapy, or if we're doing high doses of vitamin C, they mix that individually for each patient, and then it takes mostly an hour to an hour and a half to administer.
So the triple running a couple hour and a half anyway, probably.
That's a
and
good
you come
average.
out feeling like a new man or woman. Huh?
Usually, most of my patients within 5 treatments notice a change. If they don't notice it, their spouse does. And it's usually men. You know, I don't feel any different, Doc. And the wife says, you're not falling asleep after dinner anymore on the couch. You're more energetic. You're doing different things. And
Okay. Better lover, maybe. Who knows?
that could be
The
part
wife
of it.
might appreciate that.
I hope so.
It reminds me of the gag that somebody just sent me, that they had man had developed centuries ago the jock strap cap to protect the penis and the balls, and only in recent time did they come up with a helmet. So long before he protected his brain, he protected the important thing.
Is that the evolution of man?
The evolution of man, right?
Yeah.
We're here with Dr. Robert Barnes, who's giving us a general approach to medicine that he has. It's a gentler form of medicine. It's osteopathy, I guess, of a sort, and it's a way of treating the body with less than the normal surgery and harmful strong drugs that can do some damage. We just got a call. One of my callers who's shy and doesn't want to come on the phone said, what do you do using unconventional medicine for lacerations, like a bullet wound or a knife cut or an auto accident that slices you up? What do you do about that?
Gosh, if you have an emergency, you're in the best country in the world. If you have just had a heart attack, you were in an auto accident, you have lacerations and all, you're in the best country in the world, because that's an acute care situation and we treat patients very nicely. But if you have arthritis, colitis, cancer, heart disease, those are chronic degenerative diseases and we do not treat them very well. As a matter of fact, in the world, we're something like the 52nd or 53rd country as far as medicine goes from the top. We're way down the list. Every country in Europe is ahead of us as far as the benefits from medicine on their population. So we spend the most. We spend twice as much as any other country, and we're 52nd or 53rd on the list of healthy nations. So medication isn't the answer. It's what you can do for yourself with nutrition, food, thought process, exercise, and watching what you're doing.
Okay. In other words, if you have a laceration, chances are you just go to the hospital and they sew you up and give you
If you got a laceration, you get to the emergency area.
as fast as
If
possible.
you have a heart attack, you take an aspirin right then and you get the ambulance and go to the hospital.
We're the only country in the whole developed world that doesn't have a national health care program. We pay the insurance companies lots of money. They cream off, according to the pundits, 30% of that money, and then they give you back some health care. Why is this? Is it the fact that they pay Congress off a lot of money?
I don't know anything about politics. All I know is that when the government takes over a lot of things, it doesn't always improve.
Okay.
So that's my feeling on national health care.
So you go along with probably the current system here.
Well, I go along with a system that would teach people how to become healthy and what health is about. Right now, we don't have a system that deals with health. We deal with managing disease. So if you have arthritis and you are treated by a conventional physician, which I was for 30 years, you're always going to have arthritis because we don't have any medicine that will reverse that. However, if we are taught things like naturopaths are taught natural medicine, they will take that patient with arthritis and over a period of time with nutrition, counseling, and if the patient pays attention and will change their dietary aspect. And most arthritis starts with foods that we're allergic to. And then 20 years later, we have arthritic changes. We can reverse arthritis, we can reverse disease, we can be a healthier, happier society.
Chinese medicine, it reminds me, this might be more appropriate. You pay your doctor in China when you're healthy.
Yes, that's right.
You don't pay him when you get sick. He's screwed up.
There's a lot to that in dealing that way. And also, the foods and what they get, they go to market every day and they get fresh foods. We get things that are in packages, and anything that's in a box or a can we shouldn't be eating. But over in China they get fresh foods, and then the breast cancer rate is very low. The Chinese women come to the United States and start eating the standard American diet, and the breast cancer rate goes up to
right up
what it is for American women.
We have one last call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. I know we're running out of time. I just want to
sure
tell
are.
you how much I've enjoyed your program today. It was so informational and so interesting.
Okay, well, if you want to call the doctor, 679-3510. We'll get you to his office on Mondays and Thursdays.
Thursdays.
Okay, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for the call, caller, and send me a stamped self-addressed envelope, and I'll send you $5 off at that wonderful restaurant at the foot of the hill, the Lakeview in Mayville, New York. Okay, Dr. Burns, I'm going to have to, you know, I just got this sound right here, and we get this all the time. We're done. They're throwing us off the air. I want to give you a minute just to kind of finalize and encapsulate and close off.
Well, I guess in closing, what I would say is that you have to realize that you're in charge of your health, and you have to read and find out what is good for you. One of the basic books that I suggest is Wellness Against All Odds by Sherry Rogers, an MD from Syracuse, New York.
Wellness at All Odds by Sherry
Rogers, MD. Wellness Against All Odds. Because to be healthy, you have to go against what we know about medicine. Because medicine is a toxic type thing to get rid of symptoms and not to become healthier. So take charge of your own health. There's many good books out there on health, and they all have a little different opinion, but they all are very positive for boosting the immune system, which is what I try to do on a daily basis to help people reverse their disease processes.
Thank you for visiting us, Dr. Barnes. Will you come back soon?
Thanks for having me.
Well, you know, your message is a good message, and I think people should be listening to their bodies and their physicians in terms of mild or gentle treatment. And I hope you're still over there for many, many long years. I know you're in your 50s now already. You know.
Yep, I'm getting there.
I want to thank other people out there. Sorry, caller, we're out of time. We have a last caller. I can't get it in. I want to say a special big thanks to Chuck Kelsey, to Devin Taylor, Chris Burke, Randy Burke, Chris Remaker, Jeff Zook, Don Zenz, and John Hamels, who's doing the Irish jig over in the old sod. Have a great day.